Alrighty. Hey, Matt here. Welcome to the Epic Real Estate Investing Show, where we show people how to invest in real estate so they can escape the daily grind and retire early. That's what we do. And today we're going to talk about subject to real estate investing. And what this is where you get to purchase a property. This is a really popular strategy where you get to purchase a property of which the existing loan on the property stays in place. So you take ownership of the property, your name ends up on title, and the loan stays in the seller's name. The loan doesn't get paid off, it passes along with the property. So it's really nice because you get to buy the property with the financing already in place. So you own the property and you make the payments on the seller's loan. That's how it works. And I'll show you a recent deal of my own and how it all came about, and then how I put the paperwork together and how I actually overpaid for it. I paid more than what it was actually worth and still got a 53% return. It's actually better than that, but I'll show you how I did that, okay? And if you'd like to go deeper with the strategies like this and get some help with it, you might like what I'm doing next week, getting together with a group of investors via Zoom for a creative financing masterclass. And if you'd like to join us, you can get all of the details at creativefinancingmasterclass.com. All right. Let's cut to the chase. I will show you my deal here. And it looks kind of like that. And then we'll come over here and we'll go like that. All right. So there's the house. It was actually a condominium. And I don't buy many condominiums, but this one was kind of unique. And it was really nice in a nice part of town. And I wanted it. I wanted to have a property down there. This is in a nice area of St. Louis. And the tenant was already in place, so I didn't have to go out and find a tenant. Management was in place as well. And it rents for $1,050 a month. So there we are so far. Now the value is $110,000, but there was a seller financed mortgage, not a traditional bank mortgage, but a seller financed mortgage of $90,000 on the property. And it was pretty appealing because it had 0% interest and the monthly payment was $450. And the property had just been rehabbed and the tenant was relatively new. And so it needed zero repairs. I could just take it over and it would be a cash flowing asset for me. So I'm looking at $1,050. My monthly payment is $450. I'll probably clear somewhere between $150 and $350 a month would be my cash flow. So I was kind of cool with that. But the seller wanted $40,000. And if you take $90,000, what's owed on the mortgage, and the seller wants $40,000, that's $130,000, and the house is only worth $110,000. So I was like, okay, we might have to do something about that. But this is what had my attention. That's something I normally wouldn't look at because we'd had zero equity, and then the property it would probably cash flow a little bit, and but it was this 0% interest loan that was in place. I mean, this looked like something I would have done. So somebody got there and put this in place, and I really that was what I found appealing, and I'll tell you why in a second. So I made an offer, subject to. I want to leave that seller finance mortgage in place, and instead of $40,000, I offered them $30,000 for their equity, and so that would be I'm paying $30,000 plus $90,000. I'm paying $120,000 for this property. And it's only worth $110,000, so I'm still overpaying for it. But I said I offered them to do $15,000 at close, and then I'd given them $15,000 in 2 years. And they countered back and they said 1 year, which is really kind of what I wanted already. So doing 1 year, so I'm good with that. And we had a deal. So it was really easy. Now, why would I be willing to overpay for this property? Well, we know that as real estate investors, we want to purchase property in one of two ways, by either our price and the seller's terms or the seller's price and our terms. We only need to get control of one. And they were stuck on that, the 110 getting $40,000 and leaving that mortgage in place. But I got them down to 30. But I'm still overpaying by 10 grand. But I'm okay. I got the terms. And I'll show you how this works in a second and how this ROI is calculated. But when you go to put it on the purchase agreement, now that we had this agreement in theory, so to speak, or the idea was agreed to, how do you put it on the contract? And a lot of people think you need a special subject to purchase agreement, and you really don't. In fact, I don't even know if there is such a thing. And there's subject to disclosures, and there's distressed seller disclosure, stuff like that. But as far as the purchase agreement goes, it's just the basic everyday purchase agreement. So what do you do with a purchase price? There, number 2 at the top. You just write in $120,000 because $90,000 for the mortgage and $30,000 for the equity or the cash that I'm giving them. Okay, so that's 90 plus 30 is 120. So that's your purchase price of the property. And now in the terms, you need to write out what you've agreed to here. And a lot of people get stopped here because they think they need some special clauses or they need to be like a lawyer to write this out. And it's not necessarily the case. As long as you can write it out in plain English and you and the seller both understand what the agreement is and your closing agent understands, that's enough for them to put those escrow instructions together, and it's enough for them to put your seller finance note together. Okay. So this is how the terms would look. Subject to existing financing. So what that means, subject to existing financing, meaning that $90,000 is going to stay in place. Now for the $30,000, buyer to pay seller $15,000 cash at close. And then the second $15,000 is going to be payable like this, $175 a month for 12 months from the closing date. Then the balance is due on the 13th month. See, very simple, plain English. The seller understood what we were doing. I obviously understood because I wrote it, and it was clear enough for the closing agent to understand it as well. So that's how we put this deal together. Very simple, very straightforward. No special contracts, no special anything. Just the price and terms. Now, let's see how this calculates. So we'll take the rent is $1,050 minus the mortgage, the one that was already in place, minus the property tax, insurance, the HOA, and the property management. So that gives me $214.58. This is the net operating income for this property. So that's my cash flow. But I borrowed that I'm making payments on that second $15,000. So that second mortgage is $175, paying $175 a month. And so my cash flow is $39.58. Not too exciting, right? So let's figure out what the ROI is there. So $39, we have to multiply that by 12. And then we have to divide that by how much money we're putting into the deal. So we're really only putting in that $15,000 right now. So let's see. So my annual cash after debt service, I think I missed something here. Oh yeah, that $39.58 times 12 is $474.96. Divide that by the 15,000. That gives me a 3.1% cash on cash return. Not super exciting, right? But there's more to your return here, and it has to do with that 0% interest, because that's a return as well. And what that means is every payment I make to the mortgage, 100% of that payment is applied to the principal. 100% of that payment creates equity. And who's making that payment? My tenant is paying me to make that payment. My tenant is buying this property for me. My tenant is creating the equity position for me. So let's look at that. If I take the mortgage payment is $624, so that's the first and the second. It's $625 based there, but the change and everything, it was like $624. Multiply that by 12, because we got to get the annual mortgage payment, which is $7,500. Now we're going to divide that by how much money we put in the deal, this $15,000, right? So divide that by 15,000, and we get a 50% ROI on the equity buy down. So now you can kind of see why I was very interested in this deal. Anytime I see 0% interest, I get a little excited. And usually I'm putting them together. Rarely, not rarely, this is the only time I've ever been able to take one over subject to that had 0% interest. So I have my 3.1% cash on cash plus my 50% amortization, my mortgage pay down, my debt pay down. So it gives me 53%. That doesn't count the deductions and the depreciation, and it doesn't count the appreciation, right? But then all it took me to do this was $15,000. That's all I had to put in there. So I'm getting a 53% return just on those two profit centers for the $15,000. So I like to do every deal. I like to get into every deal using none of my own money. So I don't even want to come up with the $15,000. So what I did, I was able to get a bridge loan from my lending network, and they gave that money to me. And why do I want to do that? Why do I even want to borrow that? Even if I have the $15,000. And I learned this like in the beginning because, when you're short on actual money, actual currency, you have to rely on your intellectual currency, right? You have to rely on your creative deal structuring. And so in the beginning of my real estate investing career, I had very little money at all to speak of. And having just got out of the music business and had to close that business down because of the digital download, Napster came and destroyed me. The wife didn't like that, so she left. So I got left with all of her debt. So in 2001, I had to file bankruptcy. So I wasn't lendable. I couldn't go to a bank, and I didn't have any money. So I had to learn how to do this with my brain. I had to learn how to do this with all these creative structures. And I got to a point where now I have money, but I still don't want to use it because I don't have to, because I have all of these tools. So I think sometimes, some regards, if you're starting out investing in real estate with no money, it could be very much to your advantage. But I got this bridge loan, and what that does is, now that I have no money in the deal, it takes my 53% return and makes it an infinite ROI, an infinite return on investment. You can't calculate it. You can't divide anything by zero. So it creates an infinite return. So just with my ideas right there and other people's money, I was able to take the SubjectTo and create an infinite return just right out of thin air, right? So I'm making that $7,500 a year in the mortgage pay down. I'm making about $500 a month in cash flow, not a big deal. But I also get the tax deductions, and I also get the benefits of appreciation. And we know that the market is moving up, and it's slowing down a little bit, but it's still moving up. And so I'm anticipating this to be a really good property, and it's in a really nice area. It's got a great tenant. It's going to be a great asset for me. So this is how I did the SubjectTo. And if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat box. I'd be happy to answer them. But if you'd like to go deeper with this type of creative financing strategy, because really it's an endless amount of ways that you can do stuff like this. It's just, I mean, most people think they got a money problem, and really all they have is an idea problem. But if you'd like to join me for this creative financing masterclass, you can also get access immediately to my lending network that I was able to get that last $15,000 from. But they're also providing 100% funding for your fix and flips, meaning they'll buy the property and give you 100% of the funds to fix up the property. They'll give you the bridge funding for your creative deals like this one I just showed you. And they do asset-based rental loans, meaning they look more at the deal, more at the property, more at the debt service coverage ratio than they actually look at your credit score. So a perfect credit score is not necessary to get approved for this type of loan. So that you get with it, and I'm giving that to everybody that is at the Creative Financing Masterclass, so you'll be able to do these types of deals as well. And that's just one of 8 bonuses. And the bonuses add up to a $5,000 value. I imagine this bonus right here could be priceless depending on how many times you used it. But those are just the bonuses. This is what the meat of the whole program is. And it's just a one day together. If you want to creatively finance your real estate investments, from finding the right opportunities to negotiating the right terms, to structuring the paperwork, to organizing the close, to collecting your profits, you can join us to learn what I and my rockstar students are doing for their real estate portfolios. And they're really starting to lick their chops right now, as it looks like foreclosures are going to be on the rise. Foreclosures are happening though. The forbearance is over, the eviction moratoriums are over, and real estate is getting back to normal, where there's going to be a lot more opportunities when you're armed with these types of creative structures. If you're just a one-trick pony and you know how to wholesale properties, it could be difficult for you out there. So you want to fill up your toolbox. And you can do that here at this live interactive virtual class when we're offering a 300% success rate guarantee. And if you'd like to get the details, you can get those details at creativefinancingmasterclass.com, creativefinancingmasterclass.com. And here's the schedule: 8 sessions for the day. We'll go through effective creative financing strategies. So if this is something very brand new for you, or if just real estate overall is brand new for you, we're going to make sure that we can get you up to speed and get everybody on the same page. And so when we start session 2, it all starts to make sense. And that's the secret to getting sellers to accept creativity. You can come up with these structures all day long and all kinds of different creative ways to do deals. But if you can't get the seller to agree, they're going to be essentially useless. And this is like the real stumbling block for people. So we spend some time on that in session 2. In session 3, how to create creative offers using the 3-option letter of intent. It's the tool that I would say is responsible for probably 90% of my portfolio, of never having to go to a bank, never having to access my credit score. And one of my students, Josh Miller, he came to me and got started, and he did. Now these results aren't typical. He did 107 deals in his first year, but 55 of those deals came from that 3-option letter of intent, and they were extra deals, and they were from all the people that originally said no to him. So I'm going to show you how he did that, and I'll show you the way that I use it as well. And then session 4, how to close creative deals. Because once you've got it all written on the purchase agreement, like you just saw, and you got the price and the terms, it can be really difficult to find a closing agent, whether that's a title rep or an escrow officer or even a real estate attorney that understands this stuff. Like they kind of understand and they're really in tune with their traditional ways of doing real estate. But I'll show you how to find those people in all 50 states, and then how to actually have all the processing and the paperwork done for you. So all you need to do is just get it on the paper, get the seller to agree, and then hand it over to somebody, and they'll just do the rest for you, and then they'll close it and make sure you get paid. Okay, so that's session 4. Then session 5 is Profit First for Real Estate Investing. So there's a book out there by Mike Michalowicz, Profit First, and I would say it's one of my top 4 books of all time. I've had 3 books that have been my favorite forever, and it's been Rich Dad Poor Dad and Awaken the Giant Within and The Slight Edge. And I've been saying those for a decade. These are my 3 top books, and I think everyone should read those. Every entrepreneur, every real estate investor. And then this book came along, Profit First, and I probably read this about 2.5 years ago, and it completely transformed my life, and it can completely transform my finances. And then a good friend of mine, coincidentally, David Richter, he went out and hooked up with the author and got permission to write a book, Profit First for Real Estate Investing. And everybody that attends the Creative Financing Masterclass, I will send you a copy of this. I believe in this so much. It's going to help you so much. I'm actually just going on Amazon. I'm ordering a bunch, and then I'm going to mail it to you. So it's not like I have a special deal. I don't have a box of free books here. I just want to make sure that you have this because it's that important. That's how much of a difference it's made. So everyone's going to get a copy of this. And then session 6, Josh Miller will be here. The person that I was telling you about, how did he use the 3-option letter of intent to do those 55 deals? Well, he's got a lead generation service, but he's going to come here to share with you how to pick the right market for creative financing. And he's got a little tool that analyzes all of the zip codes in the United States. And he's going to give that to you for free. So you'll be able to research market after market after market after market to find the best markets for you. Maybe you want to pick a bunch, maybe you want to pick a few. If you've been thinking about, maybe your market is not the ideal place for you to do real estate because nobody likes their market. Nobody wants to do real estate in their backyard for some reason. Everybody wants to do it virtual. But you might find that you are sitting on a gold mine, or you might find that if you're doing it virtually, you're in the wrong market and you might want to shift. And you might have to just shift over a zip code or two. Okay, and then session 7, I'm going to show you how to do the deal after the deal. And this is a rather advanced technique, and I'm saving it for the very end just to make sure that everybody has the foundation and understands how all these strategies work. But the deal after the deal, see, with every creative deal, there are the terms of the sale, which most people understand. Then there's the terms of the loan, which most people understand, or they get there really quickly. And then there's the terms of the paperwork. And most people ignore this part. And this is where the real gold mine can be in your creative deal. So I'm going to show you the terms of the paperwork. I'm going to give you my creative financing contract and my note and everything. I'm going to give that all to you there with all the clauses in there that are going to maximize your profit there. And then we'll end up with velocity investing. This is just a creative way to deploy your money, the revenue and the money that you make, and multiply its ROI. This is how I'm doing it right now, multiplying it by 3, and all the same time while I'm virtually eliminating my risk. And so that's how that's going to work. All right. So if you want to join us, I'd love to have you there. The market is shifting, and so too must your game shift now. The name of the game is control, and the strategy is creative financing. So you want to be prepared. If you're going into this with just being a wholesaler and you just negotiate for a low price or it's no deal, you're going to find yourself in a little bit of a challenge, I think. And at the very least, you're going to leave a lot of money on the table for sure, because there's going to be a lot of more complicated type situations, particularly with the foreclosures coming back the way that they are. You're going to have to be a bigger and better problem solver. You're going to need more tools in your toolbox. So go to creativefinancingmasterclass.com and you can get all the details there. All right. So let me come back to you over here. And there we go. Okay. All right. Good evening, Kevin. Nice to meet you. And then Penn, what are the terms from your lender? Well, as you can imagine, with the market shifting right now, the terms are subject to market changing. There's hard money stuff that's kind of like your traditional 12% and 3 points down. The asset-based long-term rental loans, typically between 6 and 8% right now. the 100% financing, they got a few different deals depending on how much you've got your property under value. But one of the basic ones that most people will approve for is they'll give you 100% to buy the property, 100% to fix the property, and then you split the profit with them 50-50. And so that can be a rather expensive loan, but you're getting a deal done and they're giving you all the money to do it. So it could be good practice. You make a few bucks and then you can start finding better deals and maybe deploying your own money. All right. So, but they change all the time. I've got 6 different relationships and they all kind of have different programs, different rates. And like I said, they're always competing. One thing that I do from every time I get one though, is I'll take a deal once I've got it under contract, like the one I just showed you, and I will present it to multiple lenders and I will shop. I will make them compete for my deal. A lot of people think that, if they don't have the money to do real estate, they feel like they're at some sort of disadvantage. And that's so not the case. If you've got a deal under contract, you're really calling the shots. There's a lot more money out there right now than there are deals. And when you get your deal under contract, you can cause those money people to compete against each other because they don't make any money unless they can give you the money. They want to give you the money, right? And so they're looking for people just like us. So you can really kind of, once you've got multiple sources of money, you can kind of have them compete and get yourself the best rates. All right. Well, thanks for being here, guys. Go to creativefinancingmasterclass.com. You can see the rest of what we're offering that day. It's not just going to be me. Rochelle Jarvis from creativeclosers.net will be there. Josh Miller will be there. And the author, Mr. David Richter, will be there. And he'll be showing you profit first for real estate investing on how to square away your finances so you don't go through this. And maybe you haven't experienced this, but if you go through the up and down income roller coaster, and then you find yourself, sometimes broke and you can't pay your bills, he's going to help you, protect you from that. And it's not even going to have to change 1 ounce of your lifestyle or anything like that. It's really, really easy. Let's see. Penn, do you ever invite people on live? I have a question tactic I'd like to get your opinion on. I don't know if I can with this program unless you actually came into this software that I'm using. But sure, I would have no problem with that. You can put it in the comments, and I'll be glad to come back down and answer that right after we're done here, okay? And so I think that's probably our cue, so I can do that right away for you, Penn. All right, that's it. That wraps up the Epic Show today. If you found this episode valuable, who else do you know that might? There's a good chance that you do know someone else that would. And when their name comes to mind, please share it with them and ask them to click the subscribe button when they get here. I'll take great care of them for you, all right? And if you haven't clicked the subscribe button, please do that and support the show. If you like what you saw today, you got some value, let me know by hitting the like button too. All right, God loves you and so do I. Health, peace, blessings, and success to you. I am Matt Theriault, living the dream. Take